Hi, my name is Jean-Marie Vaneskahian. I am new to writing HomeSeer 3 plugins. My efforts were thwarted by the complexity of what's involved in getting one working, from looking at the HomeSeer documentation to even looking at their samples. I had a hard time understanding what was involved. I found a project called HSPI out on GitHub that's in the forums, and that was my first uh, foray into really getting started with it. After going through some of the technical challenges, I was able to get a start, and I want to help you guys by walking you through what I've done in a step-by-step fashion in the hopes that we get more people in the community writing plugins that are publicly available and we can all benefit from that. So with that end, let's get started. Here is the website that was set up documenting the HSPI plugin. Alex is the person that got all this stuff going and set up, and others have contributed to that effort. But with what he's done and what I'll walk you through, it makes it very, very simple to get started directly from Visual Studio itself. Though there are some steps involved that you need to know about to get it all working. So let's begin. I highly recommend that you all go to this site as well as the Gitter chat room to get more insight. To get started, we're going to first need Visual Studio. You can get Visual Studio for free, the Community Edition, directly off of Microsoft's site. It is at visualstudio.microsoft.com. You want to download the first one here, Visual Studio IDE, and in the drop down you'll see one of the options is the Community Edition, which is completely free. Once you download and install that, there are a few things we've got to do next. During the install for Visual Studio, you'll get a question about which workloads you want. There really is one primary one that you need, the .NET desktop development workload. You definitely want to pick that one off. And I would also recommend the ASP.NET if you're doing any ASP development, though through the plugin, if you use the new HS3 methods, it's not really based on ASP, but it can't hurt to have that one as well. Those two are the primary workloads that you need, and with that, you can begin the installation or complete the installation of Visual Studio. Once you have Visual Studio installed, the next step you need to do is download the latest version of the .NET Developer Pack, and as of today, November 15th, 2018, it is the 4.7.2 Developer Pack. So we go to Microsoft.com/net, download Visual Studio SDKs. It'll be published in the notes. You want to go to .NET Framework, not .NET Core, .NET Framework, and then pick the developer pack. Then that'll download. It's 105 megabytes, and run the install for that one, and that takes care of that step. The next step is one that took me a second to figure out. Through the HSPI template that we'll be using, there is a PowerShell script included in there that it uses for building the HSPI assembly. And after it executes that build process, if PowerShell can't execute, you have problems. What keeps PowerShell from executing are some of the permissions on Windows 10 and perhaps other operating systems that run PowerShell. To get past that, you have to run PowerShell as an administrator. So you click on your Windows, type in PowerShell, right click on PowerShell, and left click on Run as Administrator. That will open up PowerShell in this blue window you can see here, and you want to run the command. Let's see here. You want to run set execution policy unrestricted, and set execution policy unrestricted. Hit enter, and it's going to ask you a question. I would answer this as A, yes to all. And that's it. Once that's done, you can exit out of PowerShell. Again, it's important that you run this as an administrator. Again, you get the blue window, and I believe it even tells you up here administrator, so you have insight into what mode it's running in. Then again, set execution policy unrestricted. When you get the prompt, say A to yes to all, and then you can exit out of PowerShell, and that takes care of that step. Next, we can close off our browser, and we're going to run Visual Studio itself. Bring up Visual Studio 2017. Waiting for that to load. He's up and running. Then we want to install the HSPI template. You just have to go to Tools, Extensions and Updates. Then here you want to do a search, type in HomeSeer, hit enter. And we're getting a not found. That's because we're looking at the installed ones. That's incorrect, sorry. You want to go to Online. You go Online, you do search, type in HomeSeer, and now you see the HomeSeer templates. Visual Studio templates for HomeSeer development. These are the ones I was saying earlier were developed out on GitHub and packaged up by Alex and put out here for Visual Studio to consume, and it makes life a whole lot easier. You click on download, and it says your changes will be scheduled. The modifications will begin when all Microsoft Visual Studio windows are closed. So let's go ahead and close that, close this, and as we can see, it's running the Visix installer now. It's saying schedule tasks for Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017, install HomeSeer templates. We want to go ahead and say modify. He does the install of that template. And there you go. The HomeSeer templates are now installed. And now we can proceed to the next step. We want to now rerun Visual Studio. And this is a very important setting that was hard to find, but it's not set by default. You want to go to Tools, Options. You want to look for Projects and Solutions, and you want to make sure what is checked is Save New Projects when created. Mine is already checked because I've checked it since I've set up Visual Studio, but without this checked right here, you will not have success with creating the template using the HSPI template that we downloaded. So again, make sure the Save New Projects when created is checked. Click OK. And now we can begin with the creation of our first example template, and you'll see how easy that is. All the work we've done to this point was just to get to have the environment set up where we can begin to code a HomeSeer template. Some of the recommendations I have is that you install HomeSeer as a secondary install on this machine that you're doing development on. It may not be the primary machine that you have HomeSeer running on, but since we're going to be playing with the plugin and having it connect to HomeSeer and doing various things, just set up a secondary install of HomeSeer on the box you're doing development on. If it's the same box that already runs HomeSeer, fine. But in my case, I run HomeSeer separate from what I do development on, so I have HomeSeer running locally as well. So we haven't started writing the plugin yet, but let's just go ahead and launch HomeSeer so that when the plugin is ready to go, it already has something to connect to. We're going to run that now. He starts up and all done. And as you can see, it's a basic, there's nothing really on here. There's no plugins here. If you go manage, there's nothing there. I've created one virtual device to turn on and off, but that does nothing. And we'll minimize that. And now we'll begin the template creation, and you're going to see how easy this is. We're going to go with File, New Project. We're going to create this in C#, so we're going to minimize the Visual Basic field. You're going to go to Other Languages, Visual C#, and in this list, you're going to see HomeSeer. And you'll see in there an HSPI plugin A and an HSPI plugin B. you can go back to the page that I showed you earlier at the beginning of where the HSPI documentation resides, and that'll walk you through what the differences are. The basic template, the one that makes things very simple, is plugin B. So I'm going to select plugin B. I'm going to select the framework. This is very important. You change the framework that you're going to use to 4.7.2, which is the SDK that we just installed. You have to make sure that's on the latest framework so that everything operates properly. We give the plugin a name, and the thing is, you don't have to give it the HSPI prefix here. The template takes care of that for you. That wasn't well spelled out, so I learned that through a few attempts here. So we're just going to call this example 1. That's what we're going to call our new plugin, and we have HSPI plugin B template selected. We click OK. It goes through a few gyrations, and that's basically it for the template. If you look at the code, the program has just a single method of main, and it calls the connect to HomeSeer itself. And if you look at the HSPI.cs, it simply has a single overriding method called getName that has the name of the plugin, example 1. That's pretty much all there is to it. If I click Start, I will see the program start to build the executable and run it. And here is a command prompt window where it tries to connect to HomeSeer, which is already running locally, and it does connect on the right port, and it says connection successful. If I bring up the HomeSeer window and I go to plugins, I see that I am now connected from my local plugin. So we have communication from a plugin that we created. Now we don't see the plugin name or any of the other items until we put the plugin in the HomeSeer folder, which we will do next and run it as a true plugin to show you how that works. But that's basically all that there is to it. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to stop the plugin from running. And if I go back to HomeSeer and I go back to plugins, I'll see that there is no longer a plugin running. So he worked. And there's very little code that you have to do to just get that basic level of connectivity. But let me show you how this actually gets installed. To install the plugin, we basically copy the files into the HomeSeer directory. To find where these files are for example 1, you just right click on example 1 up here, go to Open Folder in File Explorer, and we can see the folder here. And we go into the bin directory, the debug directory, and we're going to do a Control A and copy everything in there. So you can do highlight and do a copy. And then you go to your local HomeSeer directory, and we're going to copy it into there. Here is my HomeSeer directory, and I'm just going to go to the root of HomeSeer, and I'm going to do a Control V to paste. I'm going to say do this for all items. Do you want to provide administrator permission? Yes, I do. And that's it. And I can see my HSPI example1.exe. You see how it appended the HSPI prefix? The exe config, the PDB. I'm not sure if this file is needed or not. And then in the bin directory, I can see where the example1 plugin folder has other references that it needs. So now that everything is in that directory, I'm going to exit HomeSeer, which I should have done probably before. And now I'm going to run him again. And I can do that right from here. I'm going to run the exe. This time, he is going to see the plugin from the beginning. If I go to plugins, I go to manage, look at that. We see an example 1 plugin available to us. He's got a COM port option in there. That's because that's set by default, and a version number. All of these things can be changed, and I'll walk you through what I discovered how to do that. But we can start the plugin, and you'll see that it's info start pending, and now it's okay. That plugin is started. Again, this plugin does nothing yet, but the fact is we just got a plugin with a name, and we have it available in the manage plugins, and we can start it and stop him at will, and it works, which is huge. Just to get to this point, And all the other ways that we've done this is, or I've done this, is not trivial. So this does a whole lot for us. I think that we will use this as a good stopping point. On the next video, I'll walk you through how to modify the basic template that you've started to create the plugin with, and let you do things like remove the COM port function if your plugin doesn't use the HomeSeer controlled COM port. Um, have a version number of your own where that's done in the assembly, and a few other things, and how to start doing your own functions and have HomeSeer call back to your plugin and send data back, and so on and so forth. Just to be clear, this is my first foray into this, and I am terrible at C sharp, but it's not bad. It's not that hard. But understand that my coding probably is atrocious compared to proper standards. But like many of us, it just works. So you do what you need to get something that does what you're looking for. Anyhow, until next time, I hope you've gained something from this, and give me your feedback and let me know what I should be doing differently. Thanks. Bye.